congratulations on the movie, which I really, really loved because it kind of reminded me of those really old-fashioned sort of crime, British crime movies. What was it about the storyline that made you both actually want to make this, really? I'm going to start with
Uh,
you. Barnaby.
okay, so I mean, it's that's where I came from. That's what I grew up on. And it's like those Get Carter's, Long Good Fridays, Brighton Rock. Those are the kind of films that I kind of grew up on. And then having the extraticity of Lavender Hill Mob and Lady Killers, mixed in with that. That's what I loved, and that's what I want, and what I wanted to kind of go for. And I think Modern Ways, Sexy Beast, and I just think that really interests me, that kind of period, and that kind of it doesn't never say what period the film's made in, but it's kind of meant to be pushed in that kind of world. And that's what I love. And yeah, so I'm so happy you picked up on that.
You know what was weird was that we actually filmed in West London, and it was a bit like an old school studio system. We all had our dressing rooms and everything like that, and then this very detailed set. It's actually quite a small studio. Like there's not many places to park and things like that, and it reeked of history, didn't it? As well as other things, didn't it, Barnaby? But it had that feeling of a legacy of all of those, the Ealing comedies and the Alistair Sims and the, like you say, Lavender Hill Mob, etc. The thing that it also shared was, if you notice, those characters really come out of the screen when you think
Yeah.
about those old, even like the man in the white suit, or these the Alec Guinness
Coronet.
vehicles, etc. Right. The characters were almost hyper real, some of them. It wasn't a sort of very naturalistic, presented character study. It was sort of a bit of a caper. And although this is a serious subject matter, it did have that feeling to it. It really, the characters popped off the screen, and obviously Barnaby and John coming up with their script. It was great. Yeah.
I'm going to stay with you, Ben, because I know you're no stranger to playing these kind of like misfits characters, these kind of really just kind of strange, but also very interesting characters that you can't help but fall in love with or absolutely detest. Um, Talk me through that particular character and how did you play him exactly how he was written, or do you feel like you've added more to it?
Look, it's the face. What can you do? You have to work with what you got. No, to be fair, from day one, when we first met, didn't we, Barnaby? We basically sat down and, you know, Barnaby's, yeah, we sort of had simpatico immediately about visually. Barnaby's very strong on that, on the production, on the costume, on everything. And I just couldn't help but agree with all of his ideas because the character was there in the script. I think we then sort of worked together on perhaps his physicality, the sort of Mac that the Barnaby and the costume designer came up with, had that kind of seedy feel to it, that he could kind of be hide in alleyways and stuff. And yeah, it just seemed to come together really easily, um, including his sort of physicality when he was under the influence, as it were. And it sort of became this kind of reverie, or this kind of balletic, dreamlike state, which I loved seeing on film. It was great. Yeah.
Barnaby, I want to touch upon the way the film looks or the way it actually feels. And a lot of it feels like you are in a theater, really, because they are these characters that are all together, and then one of them comes in, the other one comes out. There's lots of sort of staging and blocking, I guess. Do you like working in those kind of sort of situations, or are you more at home with the outside?
it's funny. I'm happy with both. And but it was the idea came from the Great Train Robbery, and I found like a whole article, and in it they had the whole photo album of like the hideout and everything, and I just looked at it, and it was this house, and it was all like the floral like wallpaper and little kitchen and stuff like that. And I just thought, what did these men do in that? What do they do in that? In that house? And how do they get it? So I knew from the get-go that's where I sprang the idea from. And then I worked with John Dover to work on he wrote the whole script and everything. But I initially had that world in my head straight off, and that's how we worked. That's the way we started with the production design and everything, with the set and everything. And so everything in that room has meaning, and everything, that we put in there, even down to the tiles on the wall we designed and everything, just, to have this, there's these like kind of animals being slaughtered in the tiles. And it's like, and that's what we went for. And it was like, but it is a play. That is exactly what it is, because I thought if I didn't get the production money for it, I would just try and do it myself, and how could I do a film? I keep it in the same world. And, I'm a big fan of those kind of 12 Angry Men, Lifeboat, all those kind of films that are our chamber pieces that I just think are amazing. But I never knew how hard it was until I did it, just to get that rhythm, in the edit, and to try and figure it out. But luckily, I had some good actors.
Bern, I was speaking to Eddie the other day when I interviewed him, and he said there was like a sprinkle of Bob Hoskins in the way he's created that character of his character. What do you think? Whose character do you think? Which famous sort of British actor do you think you look up to the most in that kind of genre?
Well, Numbers was nothing like this, but Alistair Sims for me was obviously a stalwart of this studio, very small studio system that we had. Also within my family, I remember my auntie went to a health farm once and she met Alistair Sims. So he was the first sort of actor that I ever thought, oh, he's a real person, But yeah, he came up again. He had this ability to do very complex, very powerful characters, but then sometimes turn on a sixpence and sort of show the vulnerability. So yeah, the actor Alistair Sims was the one for me. Yeah.
Thank you so much, both of you, for your time, and congratulations again. I absolutely loved this movie.
Pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Thank
you too.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey, you guys!
Hey you guys.
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey you guys.
Hey!